not as a journalist, but I'm trying to look at it as the audience. I'm trying to look at it as a normal person who is going through this. And where I find that there, as it is, there is this change in media's approach from reporting to business as being able to churn out business TRP, so thereby lot of confusion in the authorities, in the government, in trying to deliver what is right. So you suddenly overnight have a lockdown without any preparation. It's like having a war. You're announcing and saying that, okay, from tomorrow at 7:30 there's going to be a war. So there, and then you say, no, it's not. It's like 15 days. Then it's like 30 days. Then it's like 2. So there is actually, so the authorities are also, probably for the right reasons or probably for valid reasons, are confused. So thereby we are not being able to get a long rational picture, which is being again made more complicated by news which is trying to generate as much as sensation, and the social media. So it's a pandemic actually, so it's a madness happening. I think there's a huge deficit happening there, and it's important for the people to rely on just what the health ministry is saying, rather than groping for the facts, groping for reality. And you say, okay, now tomorrow the America has come out with the medicine, and okay, no, 15th August we're going to get the vaccine.
ফেসবুকে ইন্দ্রজিৎ সরকার লিখে যেতে তাহলে পাওয়া যাচ্ছে, আমি পেয়ে গেলাম।
For us to seriously look at this and accept the fact that there is confusion going on, not lose our senses and not panic, and accept what the health ministry guidance is, or our health ministry guidance. I mean, that's the way I would look at it. And obviously, if I have reliable medical people, I would try to get my facts from them.
Kamal, your take on this?
But I absolutely fully agree with Anuranga. The fact is that somewhere down the line, we are being talked to by politicians mostly. We are not being talked to by the health people who mean business in health. And that is a very scary factor, because we don't see politicians all the time kind of talking to us in various other subjects. Suddenly on this matter, are they getting so important? I don't know. At least they are making themselves very important, which is a very irritating factor. And the thing is that now we should be more listening to doctors, healthcare specialists, rather than odd politicians and few news people who are kind of churning out certain sensationalized and paid reportage. I just don't understand this. And that is, I think, is more scary to me than anything else, because I can all the time shoo away a fake news, kind of turn a blind eye to the politicians, what they are saying. But if I turn a blind eye, I don't see healthcare specialists given much cognizance in this and given a kind of a microphone out there, which I find is to be very disturbing.
Yes, I think that is the whole thing. Anjan has said this, this is what he said, and this is in the slide of what he said, that you rely on government guidelines for lockdown situations, guidelines of known health organizations, and personal doctor connections. So this is okay, but the problem is that the known health organizations are not doing their jobs properly. The World Health Organization is under fire from various aspects. I'm not saying that everybody is right or wrong about it. But the whole thing is that several things they have changed. 6 or 7 changes in 6 weeks, etc. Like the most gruesome thing that happened was in the initial phases, they said that the masks are not good. You don't have to wear masks. And then we realize now that masks is the only thing that is going to prevent us in a big way. And then also look at this ICMR guideline, preparing a vaccine by August 15th. And that's ridiculous. If we lose our faith in the guidelines of the known health organizations, where do we really go? So, but that is happening, and that's strange. I can find an excuse for that. Is that they are bemused by the violence, by the suddenness of this, and the vastness of this pandemic, and the virulence of this pandemic. But even then, some of their recommendations have been changing so fast that it's been very perturbing. The other thing is that what we are talking about is this. Fake news. And I'd like your opinion on fake news. There has been xenophobia against blacks, Chinese, Islam, minorities. And then when the medicines came out, when chloroquine came out, so when Trump said it, I personally went to about 10 to 12 shops, I couldn't get chloroquine. I asked my medical representative friends whether they can get some, they can't. They couldn't. And then erythromycin went out of market. And now steroids are at a premium. So all of this craze is there, which has come about, but the medicines should not be taken at all just by themselves, because it has its dangers. And then there are certain remedies and cures, and people come out and say, I have a cure for corona. And that's absolutely ridiculous. The trials and all they've done is so bad that you can't even recommend it to anybody. And that's happened also amongst doctors. I wouldn't say that. There were tests which were not well done. The trials were not well done, and suddenly they came out and said, this is it. And everyone was clutching at straws, and they went out and they started it. And after 2-3 months, it was realized that they're not effective, and in some cases even dangerous. So basically, how to recognize these things? How do you recognize fake news? Ovidita, do you have any formula?
I think Anjan can also find out, because Anjan has news experience and I have been with news since 1963. I can tell you what, I can do it. Perhaps others can't. But by listening or watching a news for 1 minute, I can make out that news channels, I'm talking about television. There was a time we had something called the reporter. Now you don't have very many reporters today. Okay? Instead, what you do, you cover time with debates. And what are these debates? This is what you do to save money. You get all these guys, as Orgho was saying, the politicians jump into it and they come in free. So you get someone free. So 3 participants you get free. The 4th one is your anchor. And you run a 1 hour, 1.5 hours program. So one debate after another debate after another debate. What do we learn from it? Nothing. Zero. The point is, where are our experts? I would like to hear, for instance, if we are talking about COVID, I would like to hear it from a COVID expert. I would like to hear it from someone who has handled pandemics and all that. Okay? It's like a reporter talking about an earthquake, not a seismologist. What the hell is going on? I don't understand here.
Everyone's trying to get on the board. But is there any special formula that all of you're quite experienced in all this thing? Can you recognize fake news, Anjan? Is this an instinct, or is there some markers in which people...
Actually, Mr. Dasgupta has the ability, because he's actually been an editor, and he's, it's very difficult. I cannot. But being the person that I am, the kind of generation I come from, which demands certain... I'm sorry about the Ajan, because the Ajan is going on in the background. It has to happen. It happens at this time. But because I grew up in a certain generation, and that generation demands a certain kind of expression towards a fact, that I can make out the time is being wasted and nonsense is being said. It is my ability over, it is my experience somehow helps me to understand, okay, a lot of bull is being talked about now. It's a sort of, it's not a formula. I think, like as Mr. Dasgupta said, that he sees it for 1 minute and he knows it. So I somehow, through my experience, and because of I've lived through time, and I've seen, I've written, I've seen it getting subbed, I've seen it being questioned, I've seen it being rewritten, again rewritten, reporters have to go back, again subbing, and then finally being printed. So I've gone through those things as a journalist. So somehow I will not accept somebody just coming up and telling me that anyway, I mean, it may be true also, Indrajit Babu. It may be true that somebody has found out some sort of a cure in Pune. But I, as a person, am not going to just accept it if somebody just comes up and anchor just comes up and says, hey, so this is happening. I would think that whether this, I would not trust it. I would go wrong, but I would still not trust it because it's an expression, the facts are not clear. So that is how I try to understand fake news, but there is no formula for me because I have to deal with so much fake actors, fake directors and fake writers and fake singers and so much of fake artists in my life that somehow I understand also fake news. There's no formula to it. I mean, I know that the actor is a bad actor who's hamming. He doesn't know how to act. So it's like that. Otherwise, I don't have any other way, a method to tell the audience, so hello, this is the way to understand. I just want to like to end it with this, that whatever I have understood that we have to live with this for some time. We have to live with this and we have to accept it, and we have to, if we want to live at all, we have to go with this. And if there is a vaccine being made, it just cannot be made and stamped and bottled and given and available at the corporation, so you go and get yourself vaccinated and okay, from tomorrow it's not possible. I have realized it and I have understood that. See, when we started, when this whole thing happened, nobody said that, hello, if you are good, if your health, if your immunity is good, it doesn't, you can fight it. If you have other things, other ailments, be careful. Everybody said, okay, above 60, stay indoors. 60 plus, no way, man. So which means 59, you're okay. When you cross 60, you'll die. If you get COVID. So that's fake. That's absolute fake. I mean, I know of people who have got it at 75 and have managed to recover. So nobody's talked about immunity at random. So you're trying to tell me that, okay, a person who is liable to fall sick is an old person, which is absolute bull as medicine. A young person, a 22-year-old person can also get cancer, and a 79-year-old person may not, even after smoking. It all depends on your physiognomy, on your ability to. So your ability to take it. Now, so somehow, over the months and weeks of fake talking, no, this is right, that is wrong, no, old people can get it and get cured, it's all right. So I have somehow understood that we have to live with it, and this is what I want to tell the audience, that we have to live with it and not wait and wait and not expect a vaccine quickly. And I completely agree with you when you explain to us the process of getting the vaccine, because it's impossible for us to think that, okay, vaccine will come in November. It will take time, and it will take time so it's like 1 year, I think. So I'm going to have to live with it 1 year and look after myself.
We were talking about fake news.
Yeah.
Only a couple of days ago, a doctor friend of mine, mind you, a very senior doctor friend of mine, sent me a WhatsApp. Apparently, it was from CDC. And I sent it to my daughter. She went to the CDC website and found out it was fake. See, this kind of fake news also come in, which is endorsed by a doctor. Even he needs to understand that it's wrong.
Yeah, I get it. Even doctors get very confused sometimes, and quickly they try and propagate that. But that's one of the fake news qualifications. They get good people. Orko, you have the best experience perhaps of looking at fake people, fake news, because you look at it a while ago.
Well, yes. Sorry, Anjana. The thing is that this fakeness has taken me to the extreme. I consider everything to be fake, unless it's proven real. So, because, I mean, you can't constantly go and visit various sites to figure out what is wrong, what is right, when we do our own work. Because the thing is that we are so much bombarded with fakeness, it's better to regard everything as fake or everything as real and just keep silent about it. because you can't do much about it. If you think that pandemic is going to stop tomorrow, well, it's up to you to think. It's not going to stop. So you make your decision later on, the day after perhaps, because it has not stopped. Because I think I'll have to just play by my ear and not believe too much in the news elements. Because the moment you start believing in news elements, there are certain things which are going to shock you. There are certain things which are going to surprise you. But nothing is going to actually enlighten you to the right way. So I just take it with a truckload of salt and let it be.
Right. So we have some. What will government do? This is another thing about news. Do they go for complete transparency or selected data? And do they have to generate optimism? Do they have to avoid panic? And all governments are some party or another. So they have to think of their political benefit. And I was just testing out as to what the government should do really, what the idea, who and when to get tested. This is the valuable thing. Where to get medical care, and where the most distressing thing nowadays is where a bed is available. Where will I go to when myself or my loved ones is there? Where do I get proper medical care? Being a doctor, I have some advantages, but for the lay person, it's very, very difficult. Then the government should direct to authentic sites, and they should not direct to any of these sort of doubtful sites. And then they should gather data from the real patients and then talk really on how to restrict virus spread and stop the roots, which they are doing. Everybody is doing that. That is true. But basically, government should follow these principles. And what you say, should government go for selected data or do they go for complete transparency?
Who are you?
Avijita?
Look, Indraj, I'll tell you what. Irrespective of which party is in power, all government would go for political benefit or political mileage. They would want political mileage by hook or by crook. See, I have had the opportunity of working with the Congress, with the BJP and the Communists. It's all other side of the same coin. Now, no government has ever been fully transparent. I can tell you that. Whatever data is given to the public is with an intent. Whether it's good, bad, irrelevant, I'm not going into it, but with an intent. Optimism, certainly. Because we have to keep people happy and make them optimistic. If we make them pessimistic, we are creating our own, we're digging our own grave. Avoid panic, certainly. But, for whatever reason, we panic. For instance, the migration panic in Mumbai, it happened because of a news, okay? They all came into the railway station. Now, question is, was that planted news? Was that fake news? What was that, trying to show how we feel for you? I don't know. But we know what happened. Now, how would you describe that? I don't know.
Anjan, anything on this? What should a government really do?
Yeah, I personally think that it is impossible in any sort of parliamentary democracy to be completely transparent. It is not possible for any government, or never been possible for any political government to be completely transparent. It is not possible for democracy to function without corruption. I mean, when you say there is no corruption, we all know that there is a certain amount of fascism happening. So it is not possible to have a complete, transparent, non-corruptive world. It is not possible. So thereby, in an ideal situation, I would say the government should go for selected data, which is not completely transparent. You just cannot. You cannot say. Then you have to say something today and then reject it tomorrow, because we don't know about the pandemic. We don't know how to deal with it. So then government has to constantly contradict themselves, which they are, by the way, doing. As far as optimism is concerned, 100%, but it shouldn't go overboard, I think. We shouldn't start saying, okay, 15th August, the vaccine is going to come out, just to look good. We shouldn't say that. We should say, hang on, man. I think the government would have been better for us if we were told that, okay, 1 month. I know 1 month would have caused a lot of problems of saying 15 days, 15 days, 15 days, 15 days, and pulling it along for 2 months. It should have optimism again. It should have a certain control over the optimism. Anti-panic, of course, definitely. I think the panic should be stopped, and political benefit, of course, will always be there. But at this point of time, in an ideal situation, government should think about all governments, central, state, everywhere. They should find out how to be reasonable, at least that in a functional democracy, to try to offer itself to in its best possible way, and not at this point of time use a pandemic for election winning. I think ideally that should happen. I mean, use something else for elections, but not this.
Yeah, but all political parties say they're completely transparent. And
No, you know that you cannot be transparent. You cannot. I mean, it's important for everybody to understand that this tension which is happening between China and India at the border is not something very silly and simple. There is a lot of other things involved, other nations connected, a lot of other things, economy, a lot of things are connected. It is not a simplistic issue of China suddenly wanting 100 meters of India, or India saying that, hello, why you've come in here? You should have been there. It's not just about probably a roadway. There are other things. It's high time we understand that there cannot be. Government is not saying that. They cannot say that. It's very difficult for democracy to function if you're constantly telling the truth. It's not possible. I mean, you cannot. The different governments have to. I mean, it's not possible for governments to be completely transparent. I don't believe they will always. They are pretending. The more the transparent a government is, the more. I mean, I'm suspective of it.
Alka Kamal, anything different to add to this?
Certainly not. But the only thing what I want to say is that the fact that they are not transparent, they also know, we also know. But the only thing is that they are trying to treat us like kids. Like if you have a little bit of water, then you'll be getting the next pudding, that kind of a thing. If you can't have any meat, you don't have any pudding, that kind of a thing. That is what is bothering me. And another thing is that, do we really at this point of time have started believing in the government, or at any point of time do we really believe in the government? Because all the time when we open the newspaper or see news, we see them talking so much, we have, I think, put it into the same category of fake news.
And also, I would like to add one thing here. It is not possible. I mean, we can, on the social media, we can say whatever we want against our chief ministers and prime ministers and police commissioners and the American president. And politics is a very difficult game in today's world. With Europe here, then there is a Brexit, and then there is America's situation. We cannot expect a world where religions will be equal. It's high time as adults we understand that color will be. We cannot. It is not as simple as I hate a black. There is lots of other issues. So it's very easy for me to go on and say a certain thing. It's very easy. But we should take politics to be politics and accept it the way it is. And of course, when things get out of hand, the people have the right to know. People have the right to question. But not at every given point, because we will never get the ideal. There is never an ideal leader. There cannot be an ideal leader. If there is an ideal leader, either he is going to be executed by another country or by some gang or by his own party, or he is not going to win the elections. It's not possible. You cannot have an ideal political leader.
Now, something more relevant to what we were starting to discuss, that the personal arts. Anjan has this in mind. This is what he said. I've just put it into a PowerPoint slide. You believe on all this 1 year delay, theatre, opera, live concerts, sports, these activities cannot be digitalized. Alternatives will fail as essentially community activities. They cannot be from home or enjoyed at home. And Olympics without a stadium, well, those surviving after 2 years will make them all. Onion, 1 year delay, 2 year delay. Why can't theatre, opera, live concert, etc. be digitalized? Why should alternatives?
Because the essence of it, the essence of a football match happening in a football field cannot, I mean, unless there is an audience out there, I would not be able to also enjoy it in the same way as on the television. On the television even, because I'm not only seeing the match, I'm also seeing the audience, and I'm also seeing a lot of other things. So it is, the whole adrenaline doesn't work. A live concert cannot be replicated on digital. It is, you cannot have a theater where the actor is not breathing. The live art cannot, I think, be digitalized. It is, people can call me old-fashioned, but I am 100% sure this is not about being. It is the generic form of that art. You know, I mean, it is. E-books would have caught on in a much bigger way, and print would have been obsolete by now. It is not possible. I don't think it is. It is possible for opera, music, live music, theatre, cricket, football, baseball, whatever. It is not possible to have a virtual. So it will have to suffer, and it's tragic. It is not possible for me to experience going to the zoo by watching it on my computer. I cannot. Kanchenjunga, watching the Mount Everest, going and watching from the base camp is an experience which cannot be replicated, which cannot be. So that will take a beating. It will have to take a beating, and it will have to suffer, and it's tragic, and we shouldn't lose hope. We shouldn't. I, as a person who lived because of live art, I will not lose hope, and I will.
You are a television man. Do you really think that things like theatre, opera, live concerts, etc., cannot be digitalized? What about your pet topic of multi-cameras, this, that?
I would say theatre can be digitalized, but it will not remain a theatre. You know, if you remember 1975 or 1976 beginning, Calcutta Doordarshan telecast Shakespeare series. Okay, that was a very unique, because everything was on a close-up. You see Macbeth and Hamlet on close-ups only and nothing else. If you remember, it used to be in black and white, and we used to telecast that. And I remember Professor P. Lal called me one day and asked me, "What is this you are showing? Everything is on a close-up. I don't see anything. I don't even see the set. It's only close-up." Now, question is, that is not theatre. That is perhaps theatre on screen, a different genre altogether. As I said, as Anjan said, I'll agree with Anjan. Unless it's audience participative, unless the audience is it is not theatre. You can call it by whatever name. You know, you used to call it television drama, for instance. We had television drama, but
Yeah.
is it the same as a theatre? I doubt. It is not the same as a theatre. Okay? Music, certainly, I heard Anjan and his son performing a couple of days ago. But Anjan and his son performing in front of audience and performing without anyone would certainly make some impact, some difference. Anjan, would you agree to me? I mean,
Absolutely. I think what you did was teleplay. I mean, it's called. I think it's a genre. Obhijit. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a genre. It's a genre. Teleplay is a genre. I have seen Bergman doing teleplays. I mean, seen it on. But theater actually cannot happen. And live music, we are doing that now. We are doing it because we are professionals and we have to earn. And there are offers coming from America, from Europe, that we go live in the sense that we try to perform through the digital medium, but the nature of that program or the nature of that concert has to change.
Right.
Has to change. But it is not.
Correct me. Basically, what you're talking about is that treatment has to change.
Even
Right.
it's a sort of a personalized chamber, small sort of a concert. I mean, in my mind, I try to think that okay, so I'm doing this at Kolamondi basement. So it's a 100 audience I'm watching. Now, in realistic terms, digitally, I'm reaching out probably to 4,000 people or 5,000 people. Somebody sitting at the same time in Africa, or another time in New York, and another time in Bardhaman is able to watch that probably. But it is still, it might be fine. They don't have to fly me, they don't have to fly us, they don't have to give us hotels, they don't have to, that money is saved. But still, I cannot replicate, Amit Dotto, myself, and my whole band cannot replicate the same thing. We have to look at it as sort of a personalized chamber kind of a interaction with being acoustic. We are just trying to do it with acoustic, without any drums, without anything else, just acoustic, maybe percussion, and personalized kind of an approach to survive through this time. But everybody's trying to do that. But I don't think, and we are doing that, and they are paying us for it, and it's slowly happening. Toward the end of the year, we have some programs like that happening, and we have to do that, and we're trying to find a way to make it personal, make it more a sort of a different kind of thing rather than a concert where there is no clapping, where there is no cheering, where there is no curtain falling, and where there is no lights, nothing. It's just like from my house, I'm singing, and I have to be personal then. I have to be far more personal. I cannot shut myself off and just imagine that I'm on the stage. I'm not on the stage. I'm in my terrace. I'm sitting on my terrace, or maybe I'm, in some restaurant.
Anything different on this? Or this, you would agree that theatre, opera, live concerts, etc., is as a
Well, it won't be a theatre. It won't be the live concert. I think it will kind of throw up another kind of genre altogether. A kind of genre which is being prompted by this pandemic. So it is not going to replicate any of these things. It's a separate thing altogether. Like when play got kind of televised, it became a teleplay. It will also have another kind of a name to it, maybe a pandemic live or something like that, whatever it is. But it will have another name to it. It will definitely not replicate the real life things. Because the first thing is that what you miss is at the end of any song or after a kind of a very punchy kind of a dialogue session, the huge clapping. You don't get that. So you have to accept that and kind of go ahead with it, thinking it's a different kind of a genre that is going to be there.
Here, I would like to add something. I would like to say that it is only possible with music, because music can be done with a single person, with one person. It is only possible. But theatre is even a monologue. Let's say a monologue cannot happen digitally. I personally, this is my opinion, cannot happen digitally. Even a one-man theatre or one-woman theatre cannot happen digitally. But music, one person with maybe just one saxophone can probably work if approached differently. It can probably, but nothing. I don't think football is possible. I don't think cricket is possible. I don't think opera is possible. And it's
yes,
sad.
wherever
Only
the
My son-in-law, the kind of concerts he does, Rupam Islam and Fossils, can he ever replicate that on television? I doubt.
No, he cannot. He cannot. And it's wonderful that he's working now and he's performing solo. He's doing one, we are doing one, and he's doing one. And we've been constantly with each other, with your daughter, and Neil has been constantly discussing, okay, do we go through OBS or do we go through StreamYard? How do we do it? We trial, error, sound has to be perfect. What do we do about the light? Rupam has to do it just one himself with the piano and the guitar. So it's Rupam Islam and the singer-songwriter sitting at home and singing some songs for us, or Joan Baez with one guitar sitting, or David Gilmour with just the guitars. That is a different feel and a different approach, but the entire band is not. It is not possible, and it's wonderful that Rupam is doing it alone. We are just doing it, just two of us, and maybe just Amit, but in the same space. Amit has to come to my house, or we have to go there. I mean, and do a kind of a trio or duo or solo that may somehow be sort of interesting, like looking back into songwriting or something like that. But I don't see the band and full fossils. It's not possible, and he's not even attempting that, and that is wonderful. We are looking at alternate.
So if you look into the financial aspects of the thing, subscription based. Now, in this current economic crisis, which we are going through, the whole world is going through, subscriptions versus food. And the second question that I'd like to put to you is about crowdfunding. Is it realistic at this current point of time? Really go for subscriptions when they are this much of economic crisis?
Is it to me?
To everybody. You start up.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Subscription, yes, like pay-per-view or whatever, in a way will work. But it will also depend on what you are serving. Your platter must be tasty. You know, the cereals or whatever you churn out every day, that has to change. That model will not work, I can tell you that. You have to follow certain, there are examples. Israel has an example, Brazil has example, Mexico has example, even Korea has examples. There are excellent German examples where it becomes interactive, audience participative programs. And the treatment, I'll just tell you a story. I was asking Orgo if he remembers the name. I also don't remember the name. It's a courtroom. It's a whole series. It's a 1.5 hour each episode series. All of them are courtroom. They finish with something where the judge gives a verdict depending on what the audience, how the audience reacts. It's very audience participative. It's very gripping. You cannot get out of it. That kind of a thing has to come in, and then people will not hesitate to pay, and even crowdfunding will come in. You can understand, you have to innovate. If you keep on following the formula, the so-called formula of the 4S, sex, scandal, sensationalism and superstition, then you're out. That won't sell anymore.
Right. Now let's turn to Orgo, what do you say?
What I'm going to say is that the fact is that we have to really stop thinking about making the greatest film after Pather Panchali. Because we are all caught into that trap that whenever we start doing something in the audiovisual medium, we think that it's next to Pather Panchali that we are making, and we make a disaster of it. It just does not go anywhere. The fact that what Obhijit said, that the kind of German series that he was talking about, it never wanted to do any of the earlier German classic. It just wanted to be with the times and kind of serve out something which will help garner the audience reaction and kind of get their positive reviews. Now, these kinds of thinking might happen with us, the makers, but again, people who are saying yes to it, they also have to understand. Problem is that people who are saying yes to these kinds of programs, or most of the programs, they somewhere down the line in their thought process belong to a regional version of the pandering to the cowbell system. So that is a problem that we all are facing. It's not, maybe the makers have ideas, but people have to approve. The approving list, they kind of become the block to this whole kind of concept getting visualized. I think that is a problem. But definitely we have to rethink. We have to rethink in a massive way. And let's stop thinking about making the greatest film ever. No, let's not think about making the film. Let's think about making attractive, engaging audiovisual programs.
Absolutely.
Right. Anjan,
I think that yes, people. I'm saying the middle class who somehow are managing to survive. For them, it is important at any given point. Entertainment or whatever you call it is also a sort of food for sustenance. I mean, it is impossible for the middle class to just eat and eat and eat and survive and take medicines. They need to read a book. They need to listen to music. Whatever has kept us through lockdown in the middle class it's the audiovisual medium. It has kept us alive. So I think that we will have to give a little bit, eat a little less, and spend a little money, have a cheaper coffee, and pay for that, whatever is happening on television or on the computer. It is important. So the money is somehow we have to spend. People will have to spend that money on a Fire Stick or whatever, or getting it. As far as the medium itself is concerned, I think that I strongly believe that the web platform or the television platform has to not take itself for granted. That, okay, so there is this pandemic now, halls are closed, so let me now make as much as money as I want to in turning out cheap programs. It will not survive. The theater going cinema took television satellite for granted and said it is not going to harm me. Our cinema is surviving because of the satellite rights. It is not self-sustaining in the sense that it is not earning just from the halls. So it is earning from the halls and thereby being sold to the satellite. So satellite plays a great role here. But I think with the satellite, with the OTT platform getting another chance, a big chance this time, they will have to go back to the concept of the writer. The writer or the concept creator and the producer become more important than the director. All the good ones, all the really, really good series we watch are actually about writers, good writers, and we don't even know the names of a director. Directors get changed. So, as Orgo was saying, the directors will play a lesser role, and the writer will play a bigger role as far as series and whatever satellites are concerned. The writer again has to come back. The writer has to be given a little more money. The writer has to be recognized. I mean, if you ask me the names of people of great programs, I will tell you, okay, I remember. Yeah, Barbara Hall created Madam Secretary, Alex Pina. All these are writers and concept creators. I don't even know the names of these directors. So writers again will have to take over. Good writing has to come back.
And that, yeah. And that has already started. Even in Indian web series, the writing has been given such importance that it's them who are actually creating and they are getting the recognition. It's very strong. Leaving the series, I mean, you might not agree with all of it, but the series which are really drawing good response are very much writing driven rather than anything else. And even the stars are not there, which is very important. There are good performers and writers. They are actually taking the whole thing forward.
Yeah, we were talking about OTT, which has come up quite a few times. And for the audience, the OTT, Orgo, will you take this? What is an OTT? Because it's maybe...
Well, it says over the top. Anyway, it's kind of not really over the top in a way. Well, it's not television. It is absolutely web-based. And it is, again, subscription-based. Either you kind of subscribe to it monthly or yearly, and you kind of see various kind of content. And the content here is very different from what television dishes out. And it is remarkably different. It is again not close to film, but it is kind of near to film. And it is not at all anywhere close to what television is giving us. I mean, the serials. Even the content in Indian OTT platforms, they are far superior to what the kind of serials that we are used to seeing on television. And this OTT platform, one thing about it is that the directors or the writers or the creators, so to say, can really express themselves. Because to start with, there is no censorship in a certain way. I'm not saying that censorship suddenly will give rise to a certain kind of content. No, it gives rise to contents which really demand a certain kind of exposition. So it gives rise to a lot of political content, lot of content which you can't really show it on film because there is a big brother watching and they can really mix it. So OTT platform is certain kind of a kind of a freedom platform for the makers where a lot of freedom is given to the makers in expressing themselves. And it is definitely a strong future, a strong competition to television, may not be to cinema, but definitely a strong competition to television.
Right.
Yes, although it's you have to also take into consideration that the viewership is across the whole world, and therefore the producers really pay well.
Yes, they pay fabulously well. Even people who are in feature film making where supposed money is good, they are also kind of shifting their steps towards this OTT because their payment is a little higher than a lot of feature film. So it is a good ground, and I'm sure both platforms are not making losses by making these good payments. They are definitely at a profit.
Anjan had given his views before on this, and he has said this, what is in the slide, that OTT has lessened theatre-going audience before the pandemic. And apart from a few blockbusters and Puja audiences in Bengal, industry was dependent on satellite or OTT.
Absolutely.
If the pandemic can be controlled, he feels there will be a huge shift to theatres. Anjan?
I personally think that it will take time, but because I cannot go to the cinema hall for the next 1.5 years, I will not be able to, or I will not risk it, or I will think twice, or whatever. Also, it is more expensive. I'm sitting at home and watching a web is less expensive. Somehow, this whole process will take time. And by sitting at home and watching, when the theaters again open up, there will be another sudden shift in the industry towards the theater. So those who can hang on, it's better that they hang on and think about what they will produce slowly instead of jumping into their PPE suits and trying to shoot cinema suddenly. It will make a mess of things, I personally think. So, and in the meantime, OTT will take its own step. The web platform will take it. Web shouldn't also take itself for granted, because when the cinema comes back, there's going to again be a shift. Just for the fun of it. I personally will then go and watch a football match. I would definitely go to the zoo. I would go out and do nonsense. I would just like to go out and have a community enjoyment. So the community, the want to do the community thing would come. So thereby, OTT also has to be very careful of not just making money. They would also have to think about how to become a very valid, solid platform despite cinema. So the chances, Bengali OTT is in a terrible state anyway, and there is no writers there. There is no writers, and they're trying to imitate again what other countries are doing, or everybody's trying to imitate the West, and thereby we are losing the power of our cultural differences, which is interesting, I think. So OTT again has to go back and think of new content and new writing, and cinema will come back with a big full-on swing. So cinema then has to again think of giving the best. I mean, there will be a shift. When the pandemic is over, there will definitely be a shift to the theaters again suddenly, just for the sake of wanting to go to the theater. But then OTT is here to stay. I mean, it's here to stay.
Your last line here is significant. Therefore, the current concept of cutting cost and bulk productions is not going to work in the long run.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, because if the OTT thinks that it's not working, so we'll make, instead of one program, we'll make 10 programs with that money and force people, which is happening. I'm getting a lot of offers from OTT where they're trying to cut costs and say that, do it, because we don't have money. I said, why don't you have money? You have, actually, because you're earning through your viewership. So it's not about, and it's cheaper. So thereby, why? I'm trying to convince them. But, it's difficult. It's very difficult to convince people who are wanting to cut costs at the first instant rather than think of the long picture. So people need to think of the longer picture and to generate content, look at literature, look at writers, and create far, far better content and get away with it. Instead of, because there would always be a comparison. I mean, people who are getting exposed to the world, they're watching so much of everything. So there will definitely be a competition. We said, satellite mega serials are only being watched by aunts and aunties, and the cinema is being watched by youth. We said that, and we made a disaster with cinema. Bangla cinema made a disaster of itself. We cut off the middle and the super adult audience, and we made a disaster of that. And our cinema also lost out. So we have to think rationally and think that, aunt and aunties will also be watching this. Young people will also be watching this. People who are aunt and aunties are also, Mama Shima are also exposed to the world. Whether they understand or not, they are getting exposed to the world. So let's not forget those 4 S's, as Ovid Babu said, but forget it. Churn out something interesting, and it is possible. It is possible. It will be expensive. I mean, let's say if one thinks, in literature, we had these series, we had series like Shankar used to write so many of these series. Now, if you're wanting to do that, then you have to spend money. And I'm sure, things like Chorangi or something can work if a certain money is put in, and it can work magic. People will watch it. I'm convinced that
your
literature brought it, the people will watch.
Yeah.
Well, Indranil, I'll support Anjan. I'll tell you what has happened. We have to have writers who learn how to think. Unfortunately, we have stopped using this 5-letter word, THINK. We don't think. We churn out. Okay? No, just like our studies, we mug up and we vomit. That's what's happening. No, we have the capability, and there are examples. Even for low-cost productions, there are umpteen number of examples where the story is so strong that it just takes you through. Okay? Now, there are umpteen number of examples. Unfortunately, what has happened is our producers here don't get to see them. Okay? They come from Israel, for instance. You don't get to see Israeli programs here. They are wonderful programs. You don't get to see programs from Belgium. Wonderful programs. Or Mexico, or Brazil. We watch American stuff. Well, even European countries and other countries, they produce wonderful programs which are interactive, which are innovative, and which are cost effective. Now, you have to understand this. On one side, you have to pay money. Supposing you are doing something for Netflix, you cannot do a low-cost production. But for your regional channels, the regional OTT is in a deplorable state today. It's something that you cannot accept at all. Why is it happening? Also, you have to take into account certain other things, which is internet penetration into the rural is more than urban today. Okay, by at least 15%. Okay, now which means the rural is also watching. Okay, so don't ignore them. In fact, they are watching more than you do. Okay, also another pointer is during the lockdown, if you go by the statistics and the reports, you will see that old 80s and 90s serials have done better than today's serial. How come? How come?
Because they were better written.
They were inferior in quality, no quality at all. I mean, you can't compare quality, rubbish quality. Forget about Ramayana, Mahabharata. There were other serials which we did really very well. Anjan, you will support me.
Yeah.
See, what's happening is you had great authors writing. You had great authors writing those stories. That is what we need.
Right. We will come back to that. But now the question of funding. Is government funding, which was done, say, by Pather Panchali, etc., Battleship Potemkin and all that. Then the films division, then the documentaries which were there, some excellent documentaries were made then. And then what about the independent filmmakers? From where will they get their finance? And Vijita, about input, we have all seen the variety that is there all throughout. So before we come back to you, also, what do you think of government funding? You think that that is a way out in certain ways?
Well, maybe it will give an initial kind of a thrust, but then it has to survive on its own steam. A government cannot fully finance this whole big audiovisual market because it's no longer just film, it's film and television and it's OTT, whatnot. So it's basically an audiovisual market. Government can definitely give a thrust, but it can't sustain throughout. Because the problem is that the government just does not fund. Every funding comes with a rider. Problem is that the moment it comes with a rider, there is a certain kind of creative restriction that is going to happen. So definitely the right things are not going to be made. And then you will be having a lot of propaganda things happening. I mean, Pather Panchali, Battleship Potemkin, they just I don't know how they happened. They just happened because of perhaps certain kind of people associated with it. And it's not going to happen. Those people are not going to come back because things have gone down very badly. So the people who are now at the government level, if they start approving things and if they start passing things, God forbid those things to happen. I mean, it should not happen that way.
True.
So right now with the situation of the government, let's not aim for government funding at all. Independent filmmaking, I think with the digital freedom that people are getting, maybe this is the right time where independent filmmaking has to see a lot of surge. And maybe right now, we don't aim at huge budget things, but aim at small budget, low budget things, because there are certain films which have come out, may not be in Bangla scenario. Bangla scenario, irrespective of pandemic, is all-time low for anything else. Be it theatre, be it cinema, and be it OTT. Everything is below par. So let's not talk about this pandemic as what the pandemic has done to Bangla cinema or Bangla AV thing. No, it has nothing to do with pandemic. It has gone down low. It has to come up irrespective of pandemic. But the fact is that all these things, if independently they are done, I think they'll churn out better products than if they are government funded. Maybe it will take a little bit of time to develop fully, but I strongly feel independent ventures are going to last long, and that's going to pave the way.
Vijita, anything to say about input?
Although I want to come in with something. Unfortunately, I don't see cinematic quality in cinemas. I see television on a large screen. I don't know, where is the cinematic quality?
But if you don't watch Bangla, you will find those qualities. That is my biggest sorrow, because I watch anything other than Bangla, I find a lot of the things which I want in cinema or in OTT, they are coming alive. But moment I watch Bangla, I don't know what I'm watching. When I'm watching a serial, I don't know what I'm actually watching. When I'm seeing a serial, a cinema, I'm seeing a serial. When I'm watching OTT, I'm watching some kind of odd basic trash. I don't know what I'm watching.
Yeah.
I think
Anything to say on this?
I think that government should first start thinking about finding their cure and the vaccine. Means forgetting about films. They shouldn't get into it. But and other things about healthcare, definitely important. Economy, things about that. Now, industry is a big in this film or television. OTT is also a huge industry in our country, many other countries. Here, I think, with the virtual media or whatever, with independent work coming to the forefront, everybody wanting to make films, the possibility of collaborative efforts can happen now. I'm talking about my own industry. I'm not really certain about others, but more collaboration, more thinking about what should be the way, instead of sticking on to our thoughts of this is cinema, this is theater, this is, because theater also has grown and changed and changed and changed over the years. Theater has come out into the streets, theater has gone into cafes, theater has gone, so theater has also changed. So cinema, the language of cinema is also has to change. I mean, if I was just watching an interview the other day where Satyajit Ray was giving an interview to a French journalist after doing this film Ganoshottru, where he said words. He suddenly said that I think words are good enough. And this man said, no, but where is the visual? He says, I want to hear more. So at a certain point of time, things change. It is not that cinema has to be this and OTT has to be this. I think it is important for us because of when something of a large scale like pandemic or war or whatever, or some big thing happens, everything is questioned. Everything. Our habits are questioned. So here again, it is important for us to question and relook and think as to what should be actually, what is a novel? We start, what is a song? Let's start thinking about it. What is a song? What is a band? What is cinema? And more of collaboration, independent collaboration, I think should happen. And Bengal, the least of where the vacuum is more, where the emptiness is more, there is chance of a 100% shift. And I think that happened many times in Bengal, that the vacuum was suddenly, a whole group of poets, whole group of singers, suddenly it changed. So this is, I think, the time for people to have that shift. And I think it is possible. It is possible. I'm hopeful of that. I'm hopeful that this shift, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this year, but there will be a sudden shift. I look at history as an example. There will be a certain shift, and that shift, I think Bengal will take a very important, because of our legacy, of our so much of whatever culture, whatever literature, blah 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 blah. The shift will happen here. I think that it's not happy. It's not hopeful thinking. I think that historically, again, the shift will happen if the right people come together. Collaborative. I'm saying it's collaborative effort. Collaboration. It's a collaborative art. I mean, writing is not collaborative. Writing is not collective art. Painting is not collective art. But this is collective art. Everybody is not Charlie Chaplin or Satyajit Ray. It's a collective art. So, right people coming together will again make that shift, I think.
Indrajit, I had many inputs organized at 3 actually at the SRFTI. I was quite apprehensive whether these students would really come and watch and all. We had not only packed house, we had to repeat the shows. Okay, so if they get a chance to see what is good, I'm sure people will appreciate. It's no point saying you do this and don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better, they'll come for it. 100% they'll come for it. Show them what can be done. Get an example, they will come. They will follow.
See, I will just give you a small example. There was a time when middle class Bengalis, just stopped listening to Bangla Gan.
Yeah.
Stopped it. They were only listening to Hindi songs because the quality where the great music directors and great lyricists and great songwriters, Kulin Dasgupta, Hemanta Mukherjee and Manna De and S.D. Bar, that quality, that high, it fell. So people stopped listening to Bangla Gan for 2 decades. And suddenly 3 people came in and shifted this entire decade, shifted this entire focus, and Bangla music made a lot of money and made sense because 3 people could write, 3 people could play, and 3 people could sing. And they made a huge change. So I think it's possible in Bengal. I think it is possible if the right people come again and start, instead of imitating Bombay and imitating Hindi, and if we think again about Bangla, think about Bengal, and that we speak at least correct English, most of us.
Anjan, you're optimistic. I'm super optimistic. I'm 100% sure it can be done. All it needs are certain people to get together and think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a very hopeful thing. Certain people get together. You're talking about
I think
Bengalis.
so. I think that, there'll be arguments. There will be. I mean, most of the sensible people who are, as Orko said, doing interesting stuff in Mumbai are Bengalis. So just doing it there. Why can't they do it here? So that is the thing.
Will you be using different shooting strategies in this pandemic period and post-pandemic period, where there will be restrictions on various aspects? More VFX, as if you won't be able to go to foreign locations.
Let me quickly say, I have I taken a lot of time in thinking about this, because not for myself. I think it's very, very important that I think it's just not possible. It is physically not possible anymore not anymore to play football with a PPE suit. It's not possible. So it is not possible to a film unit. Masks are okay. We have to live with masks. I mean, I've been to Southeast Asia 10 years back, where most of the people in Singapore was wearing masks. So masks are okay. But I don't think it is possible, so we have to, I think now, or now, not now, right now, but when things become a little more herd immunity or whatever we are talking, whatever people are saying, when it is, I think cinema should be made or shot outside in the green zone. So more foreign locations, more of tourist locations, more of bigger spaces than Kolkata or Bombay. I mean, right now, I don't see that possible. I don't see studio, air-conditioned place spaces. It's like going in a plane. Again, we are stuck. But so it's more foreign locations, more outdoor locations, more of that happening in realistic terms. I think better writing and more that. So I see a lot of work being happening there rather than trying to shoot in Calcutta or in a metropolis, thick metropolis.
Historically, after every disaster, great novels and scripts have emerged, and maybe we are...
Absolutely. I completely agree that writers and novelists and the writing, so thereby writing becomes important, books become important, literature becomes important. And I think that will definitely take a step forward. I'm sure that
that will be a controversial topic here, because what is happening, what we are seeing is that there are huge mental problems during the COVID times. And you could ask the psychiatrists, their hands are full, and all sorts of things are happening. There are suicides increasing for minor matters like a mobile phone is not there, etc. And statistically speaking, every day one student commits suicide in India.
Three in Bengal every day.
Every day.
What?
Every day one student commits suicide in India.
Every single day in Bengal.
How many?
Three.
What? Every day?
Every day.
Every day one.
I'm in the process of doing a documentary on that. 3 students commit suicide every day in Bengal.
And one of the reasons why this has happened is about nepotism. I'm not talking about the cinema or etc. Nepotism exists in every profession. If I talk about the medical profession, it does. If you talk about the lawyers, of course it does. If you talk about all the aspects of it, there is nepotism. Now, is that a reason that in this COVID times, we'll be having more of these suicides, more of these huge mental problems? And recently, one very brilliant ophthalmologist, he was such a brilliant surgeon, had a bipolar disorder, he committed suicide. He was so young. So all this comes in, and how it's going to affect all the professions, especially mass media, cinema, reporters, journalists, actors, producers, directors, everything, singers.
Stress and depression, there are two things that have really stress is a pandemic, and depression is another pandemic that is killing us. Okay, you cannot ignore both of them. Now, the other thing that is, you see, you cannot just talk about the COVID. Pre-COVID also, you have to keep certain things in mind. Pre-COVID also, for instance, I have some psychiatrist friends, and they were telling me that, these so-called competition shows, musical shows, you sort of somehow pat someone to the back, and pride gets into him, and one fine morning he says he is just about nowhere. He commits suicide or gets into deep depression. Okay? What are we doing? Are we doing the right thing? We are following something which is American model, but America doesn't do it. They are treated differently. We sort of just one fine morning you are first in the class. The next morning you find yourself nowhere. What happens to the young chap?
Yes, that's it. There are huge mental problems, and that's exacerbated during this COVID times because people can't relieve themselves of their tensions. They can't go out. They're confined in a space with no friends really to talk to. And that's another issue which is definitely there. Songs have to change, and we have these examples, and Hard Times have historically inspired great songs. We've had the Alan Jackson song after the 26/11, after the 9/11. Then we had the Springsteen Street of Philadelphia about AIDS, and Bob Dylan's Blowing in the Wind, Singers, etc. after the civil war. What's going to come out of this? Anjan?
This is Anjan's domain.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Absolutely.
what pose it to him.
I think that, anything, not only songs, I think that any big change or disaster reflects in art. And definitely it should and it will reflect it, whether we want it or whether we don't want it. Things are going to change, and there will be people who will take over and, write some interesting stuff, legendary stuff, and novels, films, theater, and it has to happen because we are affected by it, and that effect will have to happen. And but answering all this, I would just quickly like to go back to what Ovijit was saying. I would like to say one thing is, most of the Indian middle class youth is thinking, because we still are a third world democracy and is a huge democracy, we are still it has grown over the years. It's the American model. He keeps saying that word, and I think it's very important for us to understand that is a problem. If you're constantly referring to America as your life or your food habits or if your clothing, it's going to lead to disaster, because reality is not that. So obviously, America will play a role, but we have to get out of this American hangover and look at ourselves. I'm trying to look at my own ethnic culture. I mean, there's so much in there. Otherwise, we are in for trouble. So we have to generate songs from our own soil, from our own feelings, from our own city, from our own crisis. And as you said just now, I was thinking when I saw that actor's picture and the whole thing about suicide, I really had nothing to say, because I have never felt that. I love staying at home, and I have very few friends, and I interact with them more. I spend a lot of time with my editor when I'm working, even when I'm not working. So I am not that guy. I cannot understand young people who are running around all over the place, who do not read, who do not listen to music, who do not think, who cannot be silent with themselves. So I was thinking that, songs of loneliness, that loneliness has to be tackled. And I think great songs of loneliness can come out. Lonely. People are actually lonely, getting more and more lonely with all this. And pandemic has forced us to suddenly think we are lonely instead of thinking that we are not lonely. Actually, we are not lonely. We are, just because I cannot touch you, I can understand you more perhaps today than I could have understood you before. So, I think I just suddenly thought of that. It's because I like staying at home. I enjoy cooking, and I cannot understand this suicide thing, and I'm depressed. Or I get depressed. I refuse to go old.
Very difficult to understand that thing. Especially, I know, probably our generation is a little different. but we really can't understand this concept of taking.
Now, I've had a lot of discussions with young people because I work with young people. I've had a lot of discussions with them, and I feel they're all the time referring to an American model. All the time, be it a film, be it a food, be it all the time it's an American model, and that's a disaster. We are, even politically, when we're talking about issues, it's the American issue. But that's not the right way, because that land is in a disaster. They're in terrible time. That land is in a big problem.
Yes. In films, would virtual characters replace the real ones? More animation films, do you think, will increase? Do we have the technology? And maybe we can bring back Uttam Kumar like hero in direction.
Yeah, I will quickly want to say, it's a big discussion, Orgo, and we will have a lot of things. I just quickly want to say, I don't think that animation of course was important and will be there, and graphic novels are being discussed and all that, and they are fine. But I don't think human beings can be replaced, and the requirement of human beings will remain. But this whole thing about nepotism, going back again, this man, this guy, this big thing has to go back. He is going anyway. It's not the star. This has to change. The actors will again come. The writers will take the forefront. Perhaps get better paid than actors, and this whole shift will happen. So I don't think that. I somehow think that that whole.
It's actually that's a line of thinking that is really taking pride, that we have to ride out this thing. If we can ride out this thing properly, then probably more or less with some modifications, we'll go back.
But Orgo was telling me about, last time I talked with him, was telling me about green screen taking a bigger space. He was telling me.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Orgo,
you've been started for quite some time.
Reality, and also artificial intelligence.
No, look, I mean, that has already started creeping into cinema, irrespective of pandemic. Because even in a lot of interesting films, close-ups are green screen oriented, where you cannot take the actors to the actual location to shoot, where you just kind of shoot them against green screen, even the close-ups, and you fill the background with some other shot taken by a very small crew who's gone there to the location to shoot those backgrounds. So those are the things like green screen thing and augmented reality. Those things have already come up, and they are getting involved in a big way, irrespective of pandemic. I mean, you don't have Nolan all the time, Nolan kind of thing, blowing up a real aeroplane, buying that up. That kind of a thing is a rarity. And also, De Niro in Irishman is also one in a case kind of a thing. You don't have them kind of for all the kinds of films happening. So I think we need to ride it out and not kind of just think that animation is going to take over. No, animation is not going to take over. Certainly not. Because if it were really in that case, they would have already taken over, because we have enough animation films. Even in OTT platforms, we have got a different kind of a setup for animation films. So animation films are there, and they are in quite large numbers, but they're not going to take over. We still want to see real human faces. We really want to see those wrinkles on the skins, not the animated stuff.
Yeah.
Sound studios have to change, equipment, software, etc. Now that the people can't come to the studios, so how will it change? And if you talk of Foley banks or Foley artists, will the Foley banks destroy the Foley artists? What will be cheaper?
No, both will survive, because right now in the middle of pandemic, not in the middle, now I don't know what stage you call it, middle and the end, or towards the middle end, I have started going to the sound studio to work. And not like before, where all of the people will converge, just the people who are needed, no extra person out there. So that way things will happen. And you cannot rule out the sound studio work, because again, it is not a very strong team-oriented work. Yes, that's people-oriented, but not people-intensive. So few people can be in the sound studio working, and that's not a problem. And again, with the digital thing working in a big way, sound studios can also be managed by a single person. So that's not a problem. That's not a problem at all.
Yes.
No, Indrojeet, you cannot compromise with the sound quality. No way. So how do you have to give
In reality, perhaps that is happening. That's happening because people are not really utilizing the sound studios the way they should. But the fact is that you are right. The quality of the sound that can be generated from a sound studio is supreme. There is nothing like it before. But anyway, that's
No, but also it is also true, Indrojeet Babu, that sound cards are getting more and more sophisticated. Previously, we always went to a certain place to edit. Now, editing has also changed. My editor is someone I go to his place to edit. I don't go to a studio, and that is very interesting for me, better for me because I can interact with him in a private space. So things will change. I'm not saying that everybody will start making sound, but the sound card people will start using the sound card. Right now, Neil is using a sound card and Rupam is using a sound card on their computer and trying to get the best out because we can't go to the studio. So, and it is not bad. But obviously, if you're thinking of an orchestra, it's going to be difficult. It's not possible. It's with minimal sound card.
But otherwise, a lot of these post-production facilities have become homeward bound.
that's what yes.
So that is not a big problem.
It's become homeward bound a bit. So these are the changes which may happen in the sound studios as such. Audiences at home, how to get the feedback. If you are going by net, if you are going by others, with the streaming media around, Nielsen ratings are being said to be outdated. So then the ComScore and Rentrack announced that they were united, and they have the expertise of measuring the use of digital media using data from set-top boxes. And combined, the companies are seeking to measure audiences from the screens, the mobile, desktop, television, and more, instead of Nielsen, which is now being forced to change. So that's another issue. If you go by net, if you go by OTT, you won't get your ratings as they were done in the previous days. So this is also changing a lot. A new thing.
How much money a certain program is actually getting? How much actually cash is being got by a certain program? You will only know it in bulk. Like if Obijit makes one, Aurva makes one, and I make one for the same platform, and the platform suddenly gets higher viewership, it's difficult to find out which is being, I don't know, who's is better. So it's difficult. For theater, you can go to the box office and check and say that, so much money.
Yes.
I really don't know.
In this the area where you're streaming to the homes, it's very difficult to know, and we need some new areas of assessment. The digital divide, and that is going to be a big thing, as Ovijita was saying also. The divide is really a problem because the workers of the cinema industry cannot travel. The many are selling vegetables. The folk singers like Bowls, they are also in a soup at this current moment. Then extras, assistants, makeup artists, transporters, costume suppliers. Costume suppliers can't, redo their things because of this pandemic. So they have to get new costumes for almost everyone. And equipment suppliers. So for them, who will help? Who can help?
I think innovation is the key. People will have to start innovate. There was a time when we depended on rickshaws. Now rickshaws have upgraded themselves into what do they call? The electric scooty or whatever, the Totos. Okay. Now I think same thing will happen, but I don't know. It's a very difficult situation. I don't think. Like a makeup artist. You cannot do without a makeup artist.
No, you can, but their equipment, they can't use the same makeup sticks and all for everybody because of the pandemic. They'll have to replenish and get more and more stuff, and that's another issue which is going to come up.
Anjan might be able to help talk about this, but I feel that people like makeup artists. You cannot make a film without a makeup artist.
Right.
I personally think that, any other things, this pandemic will also question the number of people. Previously, an office used to run with so many other things. And there was paper and pen and this and that, and a lot of other people made money through that. There was stationery, some stationery guy. But then there was we started working with computers, and then offices changed, people became less. Then people started working from home, and so then again offices changed, and different things started happening. Press changed, the news industry changed, television news came. So so things, recording studios have changed. So I don't think that the people, I mean, there will be a hit on many people. There will be an economic hit on many people. We need to, the responsible people will have to stand up and save certain areas of art which may go extinct. We should, like the tiger or like the bowl singers, or we have to look after, we have to save them. But we cannot say that I need so many people to run an office and I need so many people to make movie. There will have to be lesser people, and I'm sorry to say, it might sound very bad that I'm saying that a lot of people will lose their jobs, but probably with technology we were also taking too many people, so it will be less people anyway. Previously an editor needed 2 people, now 1 person is editing. Maybe he just needs 1 assistant to assemble, to just get it into the box, but then he takes over. So people will have to, I mean, it will take a beating. This huge, big, so many people, it will take a beating. It will have to take a beating. Makeup, of course, will stay, but so all these areas will take a beating. And if I think rationally, I would say that only, the less but more qualified people will survive. I'm sorry, but I have to say.
Orgo, anything on to add on this?
No, frankly, no. This has been in my mind for quite some time, that we actually need to cut down on the number of people who are involved.
But they're actually not needed. They're actually,
yes.
How many sound studios can actually record a live drum, or a live dhol, or a live tabla? You don't have a guy recordist like that, and you can't have a huge sound system where how many compositions are being, with A.R. Rahman coming in with electronic sound. We have lost that situation where 16 violinists and live celloists started playing. It doesn't happen anymore. So I don't know, I'm sorry, but there will be lesser people.
But now they go to Czechoslovakia to record all the strings. Even
then it's again taken a turn and again going back. So maybe again we will all go back to a time when again those certain people will be required. I don't know. So so the rare things have to be looked after. The rare things will have to be saved for the future, because we would need them again. We would need them. So the bowl singers or the Kathakali dancers have to be.
Something has to be done to look at
commentator, and you must have seen in a football OB at least 60 engineers would go. That was the time, okay?
There was a time, yes.
There was a time. When I left Doordarshan and joined ESPN, total 18 people used to go, and that included right from myself to the Khalasi, everyone. Now, understand this, number of cameras increased, slow motion increased, but the number of people decreased. No, you have to get used to it. You have to get used to multitasking.
And we are already used to it. We are already doing a lot of things. But we are being forced to take more people. I think most of the people are being forced to take more people because of the economic situation. But actually it's not helping economics. It's not, I'm sure it's not actually helping the economics of that industry.
This slide is by Ovijit, the post-COVID media predictions, and cinema, physical distancing, mass thermal checks for at least 2 years. The film industry will see a steep decline in films produced and profits in this anemic economy. And you can read this and really comment on it. Traditional TV has almost passed expiry date. I think we had discussed this before. Must innovate now. and the OTT will have to work with shoestring budgets, and the OOH will need to innovate to survive. Oyinka, you want to add to this?
There's nothing much. The only thing is we have to learn to innovate. Anjan said something very important. We have to learn. We have stopped this learning curve. Our learning curve has come to a flat thing, not the COVID, but the learning curve. The learning curve must go on. We have to learn.
Right. Anjan, anything on this?
No, I think everything is more or less covered. I'm trying to look at it where everything is more or less. But OTT becoming shoestring is again that slippery jack. The slippery clever jackal is coming in now. Okay, so you don't have you don't have the theater. You have to come to me. So I'm going to give you less money. No. OTT is the big thing. It has to spend a little more money and make itself more exciting, more innovative. It has to pay the writer a little more. I mean, the writer is least paid. And why will it be?
Writer will now become the most important person.
Yes, and he has to be given due respect. And he has to be given the director. Please, enough of filmmakers. You wait. Let us wait for 2 years. Again, we will have this Satyajit Ray phenomenon. But right now, I think it is important for editors, technicians, writers to slowly come forward and the director should take a little backseat for 2 years. I'm certain about that. I'm certain.
There's one comment here: the regional newspapers' physical form will not remain economically viable. So the daily newspaper with your cup of tea in the morning is going to go.
The number of retrenchments that have recently happened.
Oyinka, you have to speak.
We have 5 income life now. Maximum, that's what I see. You just see the number of pages have reduced. There's been a huge retrenchment across almost all papers. Why is this happening?
Yes.
I think because they are failing to understand or their difference between the visual, the satellite news and OTT news, or satellite news and printed news. They both are trying to be the same. I think that is the problem.
Yes.
Why?
So we look at all this
Becoming very superficial.
Yeah, because even the anchor is no longer the powerful person. The anchor is not making any sense to me. Previously, the anchor was the important person, and that made us believe that news, believe it. Now it's any old person just coming in and rambling away and trying to create a controversy. The anchor doesn't have any strength. So why will I? So newspaper again thereby becomes very important because it's being written by someone. So the person, again, the newspaper is, I don't know whether the quality of journalists, I don't know, I'm talking actually right now in this subject.
There's two other important points here which said about the telecom industry, people coming together and creating a one big conglomerate. That's one, the biggest industry of which the things will be data mining. And the other is that alternative source of income will become essential for media workers.
Absolutely. This is what this alternative source of income will be essential, is very, very important for me. So we have to look at, we cannot say that, I can only do this. We have to really look at our own potential. Young people will have to look at their potential and they cannot say that I can do this and nothing else. Sorry, you have to do it. You have to go to the war. You have to go to the war.
Anjanda, you can say it. What about me?
I think that Orgo, I think you have the ability to direct.
He has, I think.
You have the
No,
ability,
but the fact is that
ideas. And
essential for media.
I'm willing to write for you. And that is what collaboration I was saying. That is what, that is the thing that I was talking about. But you can also edit a lot of other things which you do. You will have to edit music videos. You will have to edit music videos.
We know.
Yes, and this whole thing, the telecom industry being dominated by a big player, and the biggest industry will be data mining. And I will just give you a figure here. I won't talk about the capex and opex stuff because data mining, as you know, is the overall goal to extract information. And the purpose, the use, who will do it, security, updates, and that are the issues. But if a single conglomerate, a single person dominates this telecom sector, this is probably going to happen. And you can see the amount of money that has gone in here. So I'm talking about Reliance because this is gone for 1.69 crores, a lakh crores from global investors. And this is invested, got in that way. And the contributors who came in here, even in this time of economic crisis and this pandemic, the whole world is suffering or sort of reeling from the economic downturn. Facebook, 43, look at this. So much money they've invested in the Jio shares which have been shortlisted. So the issue is there, Ovijita, data mining, the new thing which is going to come in.
Any monopoly is bad, Indrajit. Any monopoly is bad. And you are talking about Reliance. What about the television? 60% to 70% of television industry in India belongs to one group.
Yes.
Yeah. That is terrible. That is terrible. And that is one of the reasons the quality is poor.
Exactly. No, I don't know. I don't have a solution.
Yes, but that's happening and we have to live with this.
Money is talking. Nothing else is talking.
Yes, look at the amount of money invested and see the percentage of shares they've got out of all that money. Well, that's it. The Jio shares are there, the future. Anjan, this is your take on this. I just put it on a slide.
Yeah, I just said, more outdoor and foreign locations.
I think he's...
Yes, I think you've talked about this. So writers or channels will have to take it. We've discussed it. Those working on low budgets will win the game. Writers will become greater players. And actors will take center stage and not stars. Will we see the demise of the superstars? Star payments?
I don't think so. I think that is hitting already, and it will not. I don't think the age of superstars are over. I somehow think all over the world. I'm not saying all over. It's no. It cannot be. The industry cannot. That is what I believe. That is what I think, because that is what I'm seeing. Yes. That is what I'm actually seeing.
Orgo, do you think there will be the demise of the superstars and the star payments?
Well, star payments might, but not really superstars, because not in so much quantity, but there will be few superstars, because, when the cinema halls do open up, they will have to show something which is a little more larger than life than the television screen which is offering you.
But don't you think, Orko, don't you think that the content will then become larger than life, or the superhero will become more larger than life than the star playing the superhero?
Well, superhero and superstars both are going to be there, frankly. Because if you go, James Bond is a superhero. But people who act in James Bond movies, they are also superstars. So, in a way, both will kind of survive.
I'm saying that James Bond will remain. I'm saying James Bond will remain, but the person who's playing James Bond may not be a superstar. He might be a Mexican actor. That's what I'm saying.
But that will be a birth of a new superstar.
Okay. That's what you
Ovijita, anything on the demise of the superstars?
I think celebrity directors, celebrity writers will become.
That is going to be very strong.
Very strong. Celebrity. Already they are becoming very important people.
India
other places
will drive, but the celebrities might not be the superstar, might be the writer.
Yeah, might not. I think it will be the writer. I'm somehow convinced that the concept creators will become the important people.
Celebrity.
So, Anjan, this was your take as far as Bengali is concerned. They ideally can resort to literature and not imbibe Netflix, Amazon. I'm sure you're referring to the current films that are playing on Netflix, in which a Bengali thing has been given an English version. And literature. This is the main thing. We had literature, the writers of this caliber, and they have immense potential for web series, as you say. And the question that I pose to you today is, are we facing a crisis of modern Bengali writers and stories?
Absolutely.
The modern generation not reading enough?
Absolutely. I think
That is a big thing, not
that is a-
reading enough.
not reading enough. But when we have at a certain point, the industry took a shift because it's quickly historically I'm saying is that at a certain point of time the mainstream industry has to grow for the other alternative independent and whatever to survive, but the mainstream industry fell when it fell because the writers were dead, the music directors were dead, everybody died, I think, because they got too old and nobody replaced them. The Bengali industry started imitating Bangladeshi commercial cinema. And post that, the producers who came in started duplicating South Indian or copying South Indian Bengali cinema into Bengali cinema. So the Bengali cinema, the Bengali literature lost out. And it is in a terrible situation. After that, people came and tried to fight it out. We have tried to fight it out, but we have really not won over this 2-3 decades of going down. So hereby, if we just take a shortcut and go back to our past and our literature, the go down of this, and quickly get back to it, it will help. It will help us, I think.
Without sounding racist, do you think this total shift away from the Bengali novels and etc. and shifting towards a little bit of South India or Bangladeshi film is because our main investors in Bangla film are not Bengalis?
No, I don't think so, because if I look back, there were also a lot of non-Bengalis who were interested in making business and were interested in about reaching and earning money by living up to the standards of Bengali middle class. But when there became businessmen who started doing what they liked rather than what the middle class Bengali would like, the non-Bengali investors who forgot what middle class Bengalis would like and started thinking that, okay, I like this, so the middle class Bengali would like this, they made a disaster. They made a mistake. You know, it's not because I am a Tamil, I should do something I should make a Bengali film look like Tamil, rather than I'm just investing the money and I should earn it from the mindset of the Bengali. So we moved away from the mindset of the Bengali. So instead of waiting for Rabindranath to come and write our scripts, let us go back to whatever is available. And now that Rabindranath, let's go back to the original Rabindranath, is what I'm saying. There's a whole lot of things. There's a whole lot of area literature, and a whole lot of writing, a whole lot of things there, even in English, even in Bangla. So we can go back to that and do something. I think that will help, because the Bengali audience is again no longer in Kolkata or Bengal. Bengali audience is in Baltimore. So we have to think of global Bengali and work out that.
I think the mindset of the producer has to change also.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
Absolutely.
you don't have directors who can stand up to a producer and say, go to hell. But that doesn't happen today.
Because I also think, I don't know, Orko will be able to say, do you think that the middle class post our generation, the filmmakers post our generation, our meaning myself, your friend Ritu or whatever, that who are in our 60s now, the younger people you work with, the younger generation that you work with, Orgo, you would be able to say it more objectively, are they aware of our the big picture of the Bengali? Are they aware of it? The Bengali.
Yeah, the people that I kind of work with, yes, they are aware. They are trying to make a kind of a difference, but not all, definitely. But majority of them are aware.
Yes. Oyita, anything to say on this?
No, I think that's it.
I think that's we've discussed all of this very well. So mass media will change forever. Maybe we need it to. Now we are being forced to.
Yes,
For better or for worse,
it will change.
time will tell. I
And
think
for the better.
definitely for the better. Let's think so. This for the better. So thank you very much. It's been a most entertaining discussion and very interesting one. And you've all spoken your mind so well. And I'm sure those who are listening to it And those who will listen to it, because it's recorded version, I'll post the link later on. But as far as I'm concerned, again, thank you very much for a most interesting discussion, which I think will really be of use or help or whatever to the persons who are listening to. Thank you, Abhijita. Thank you, Orko. And thank you, Anju, for a wonderful discussion.
Most welcome.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you. Good night. Good night.